Year 3. Welcome to week 2 of term 6. This week we're going to continue your learning on myths in English, and Miss Edwards and I have got 2 myths that we're going to be reading and sharing with you, and then you're going to be doing some exciting tasks based on those myths. Okay, so your LO for today is I can role play and then record the speech between 2 characters. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of drama and then just a little bit of noting down some things into speech bubbles. Okay, and then tomorrow we're going to be recording that using speech punctuation as a conversation. So this is kind of your planning lesson, the lead up to using speech punctuation effectively tomorrow. But we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video and tomorrow's lesson. So for today, getting to know the myth, getting to know the characters, and thinking about a conversation between 2 of them. So the myth I'm going to read to you is called Pandora's Box. Now you might well know this one, it's a very famous myth. If not, then this is a chance for you to get to know it. And the version I'm going to be reading to you is taken from Greek Myths, okay, by Marcia Williams. Now this is the book that Mrs. Herbert was using with you last week for Theseus and the Minotaur. So it's the child-friendly comic strip versions of the myths, which I'm sure you will enjoy. So sit back and relax, and I'm going to show you the pictures and read you Pandora's Box. Pandora's Box. In the beginning, the gods lived on Mount Olympus. Aren't we a heavenly lot, Zeus? But only giants and wild beasts lived on earth. Then the giant Prometheus made people out of clay, and Zeus breathed life into them. Can you puff a bit of life into this lot? Prometheus taught mankind all he knew, including respect for the gods. Zeus occasionally sent a thunderbolt hurtling to earth to remind mankind of his power. What have we done wrong? I sacrificed 2 hens and a cow last week. Maybe he's a vegetarian. But otherwise, harmony reigned, just as long as you do as you're told. Until Prometheus played a trick on Zeus. Very droll, but I like my fun to be a bit spicier. Confused as to how to offer a sacrificial bull to Zeus, some men asked Prometheus to show them what to do. Am I getting a whiff of spice here? He put a steak on top of 1 sack of guts and eyeballs. Then he put guts on top of a sack of chops and steaks. Then offered both sacks to Zeus. Don't they look yummy? Zeus chose the one with steak on top. Here, get the pan on, it's steak for tea. But when he discovered the true contents, he roared with anger. Call this steak? It's guts and eyeballs, you fool. Ah! Duped by a brainless giant. In revenge, Zeus extinguished every spark of fire on earth, leaving mankind cold and hungry. Not salad again. Nobody knows how cold my toes. Never fear, Prometheus is here. But Prometheus did not wish his beloved humans to suffer. So he stole up Mount Olympus and broke off a blazing piece of sun for the people. For this, Zeus punished Prometheus by chaining him to a rock. I'll teach you to mess with me. Boy, he's moody. Each day, a great vulture tore out his liver, and each night his liver grew again. The torture continued for months before Prometheus was released. I would cook it for you, but we're a little short on fire. Sleep's a great heap. Zeus also punished mankind. He ordered the gods to create a beautiful woman. She must be as beautiful as my Hera. Her name was Pandora, and she was to be married to Prometheus, his brother. Epimetheus, fearful of Zeus, married Pandora at once. You're going to be my trouble and strife. Pandora was vain and self-centered. By Zeus, I'm a stunner. She nagged her husband constantly. I want clothes. She demanded he open a special locked box. Epimetheus refused, as Prometheus had entrusted the box to his care. Open that box at once, you old miser. I know it is full of jewels. Not even for you, O joy of my heart. In that box was trapped every known evil and disease. Could anything in this box be worse than Pandora? But her husband's stubbornness made Pandora more determined. Give it back! No! It's mine! No! Convinced the box held jewels, she planned to steal it. I'll just sit here and wait then. One day, while Epimetheus slept, Pandora stole the box and its key. Pandora gets what Pandora wants. Eagerly, she fitted the key into the lock. I can't wait to see what treasures you contain. It turned and she lifted the lid. All at once, every evil and spite flew out, like a swarm of insects, covering Pandora and infesting the earth with pain and sorrow. Luckily, Prometheus had also locked hope in the box, so mankind was saved from total despair. But, thanks to Pandora, life on Earth was never quite so joyful again. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed listening to Pandora's Box. For your first task, you are going to be doing some role play, so some drama, and you're going to be acting out the conversation between Pandora and her husband Epimetheus. So ideally, you need to do this with somebody at home. If everybody's busy and there's no one available to help you at the moment, you can do it by yourself and act as two characters, or you can just miss this part and do the writing which comes next. But hopefully there's someone around that can help you. And you need to choose, one of you is going to be Pandora, one of you is going to be Epimetheus. And you're going to act out the conversation that takes place towards the end of the myth, where Pandora is begging Epimetheus to open the box because she wants to know what's inside, and Epimetheus is saying no. So I'm just going to reread that part of the text now. You can also rewind it in the video if you want to look at it again properly, but I'm just going to reread it now. Pandora was vain and self-centred. She nagged her husband constantly. So you ought to think about how she's going to be speaking. She's nagging, okay? If you're nagging, you're kind of moaning at somebody, you're going on quite a lot. So think about that. She's used, that verb has been used there, hasn't it? Purposely. She nagged her husband constantly. She demanded he open a special locked box. Epimetheus refused, as Prometheus had entrusted the box to his care. So she's demanding it. Think about how she's going to be saying that. She's not just asking, will you open the box? She's demanding it, okay? And then in the kind of speech bubbles in the text, we've got Pandora thinking and saying, open that box at once, you old miser. I know it is full of jewels. And Epimetheus replying, not even for you, O joy of my heart. So we're getting the impression that perhaps Epimetheus isn't the biggest fan of his wife Pandora, and she goes on quite a lot, she nags quite a lot, she's demanding, she's very stubborn. They go on to say, in that box was trapped every known evil and disease. And Epimetheus says, could anything in this box be worse than Pandora? But her husband's stubbornness made Pandora more determined. So she's very determined at this point in the story. Convinced the box held jewels, she planned to steal it. So you might be ending your conversation when, as they do in the book, what Pandora says, I'll just sit here and wait then. And then one day while Epimetheus slept, Pandora stole the box and its key. And there it says Pandora gets what Pandora wants. Okay, so she's really kind of going for it. She's really saying, being quite stubborn about it. Okay, so that's the conversation you're going to be having during the role play. Okay, and just think about how you're going to be saying things, what you're going to be saying. Decide with whoever you're doing this with, who's going to play each part. One of you is Pandora, one of you is Epimetheus, or if you're taking on both characters yourself, that's fine. Have a little time now, pause the video and think about what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, what the conversation is going to be like. And following this, you've got a little waggle, a little example from Miss Edwards and I of a conversation that might have taken place, the role play. So Miss Edwards is going to play Epimetheus and I'm going to play Pandora. So have a look at that as an example and then have a go at your own role play. What could be inside this box? Could it be full of dazzling robes, sparkling jewels, or even diamonds? I need to see inside this box.
You know that we're not allowed to open it. We're guarding it for Prometheus.
I need new clothes, more jewellery. Open it, now!
I wish I could, but I gave him my word.
Open that box at once. I know it is full of jewels.
I can't. Not even for you, my darling.
If you love me, you will open it. Now!
I said no.
Give it to me then. I shall open it.
We will do no such thing. I am guarding it.
Very well. I'll just sit here and wait then. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed doing that and you've got some really good ideas about what the characters would be saying to each other. Your next task, and this is all outlined on the sheet, which is also on the Year 3 webpage today, is to record this conversation now that you've been having, the role play you've been doing, into speech bubbles. Okay, so if you open up the task sheet, you will see a kind of template for this. You don't have to print the sheet out. You can, and you can write into the speech bubbles, or you can just have a piece of paper and draw your own speech bubbles. You don't need to draw the characters. If you want to, you can, but make sure you focus on what you're writing down. Okay, there's also an example. So the conversation that Miss Edwards and I had, the role play that we did, is also on there in the speech bubbles. So it's just showing you how I would have recorded what we said, and now it's your turn to record what you have been saying. Okay, so in one speech bubble you write what Pandora has said, and then in the following, Epimetheus, and so on. Okay, so here's an example of my first 2 speech bubbles. Pandora's line is first, so this is what I said in the role play with Miss Edwards as Pandora. What could be inside this box? Could it be full of glittering robes, dazzling jewels, or even diamonds? And then Epimetheus' response, you know that we are not allowed to open it, we are guarding it for Prometheus. So that would be the first 2 lines of our role play written down now into speech bubbles. And I'd carry on with Pandora's line coming next, and so on. Okay, so hopefully you kind of did, 5 or 6 exchanges of conversation, and that can then be written down. If you've forgotten what you said in the role play, that's okay. You can kind of add to it or make it up a little bit now into those speech bubbles. You don't need to use speech punctuation. We're imagining that this might be, as in Marcia Williams' book, in a comic strip or something like that, just the speech bubbles. Okay, so no speech punctuation today. Obviously, normal punctuation, full stops and capital letters. But yeah, just focus on getting written down what the characters are saying in that conversation, and have a little look at our example on the webpage as well. So good luck with this task. You will need to keep this for tomorrow's lesson. So yeah, keep it safe, and I will see you tomorrow.